Welcome to the Butler Beat. I'm Savari Kohler. Obesity is a national concern. The obesity rate in this country continues to climb every single year. Keeping healthy and fit on a college campus can prove to be difficult for many college students. Here to talk about fitness and healthy habits is the HRC undergraduate fitness assistant, Hannah Stiller. Thanks for being on the show today, Hannah.
You're welcome.
So, staying fit and trim can really be a struggle for many college students. Why do you think it's so difficult?
Well, as a college student myself, I mean, we, especially at Butler, have a very large course load. We have to take 15 hours a lot of times to keep up with our graduation requirements. And that many hours requires a lot of hours behind classes to finish homework, to have a little bit of a break and a social life yourself, and a lot of people don't put fitness at the top of that list. It just kind of falls at the bottom, and there will be times where they're really gung-ho and be like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. And then they fall off again and won't come for another 3 months. So it's not a priority for a lot of students.
I think it's a common thought that students come to college and they gain weight. In a way, it's expected, and I think the problem is that it's kind of accepted. Why do you think that this is such a problem?
Well, it's an issue because it should not be expected. There are extremely, state-of-the-art fitness facilities at colleges all over the United States, as well as in other parts of the world. Butler University has a great fitness facility, as well as IU has one. All of the college visits that I did whenever I was in high school had fantastic recreation departments. But again, it's just not something that people see as part of their college. Someone who's personally interested in fitness, when I came to the HRC, I was like, oh my gosh, this place is fantastic. It was one of the deciding moments that I had in coming to this school. But some people will come and see that and be like, oh, they have a lazy river in the pool, that might be fun. But they don't really see the benefits of having a state-of-the-art facility on their campus 5 minutes away from their home.
And can you describe some of the better aspects about this facility?
We have a fantastic pro staff who entirely, just submerges themselves with their student staff, and they're concerned about what we want and what's going to interest us and what will be best for us. We've started new programs this year, trying to bring more people in, get more people interested in staying at the HRC. And that doesn't happen at a lot of universities, especially ones that are a lot bigger. Their foot traffic into the gyms might be larger because they have a larger facility, but as much as how invested and how they try to really grab students in is not quite as good. And us being a smaller school, we really want to focus on that, and we're proud of that.
Working in the HRC, do you spend a lot of time there?
I essentially live there, yeah.
Okay.
I know everybody. I know everybody that comes in and out and recognize them by name. Mm-hmm. And it's like we call ourselves a fitness family. We
okay.
are very close, yeah.
Do you see a big difference in the students that come a lot and the students that maybe come once a month or are trying to kind of instill this healthy lifestyle and then they do fall off the wagon?
As far as their fitness, as far as their health? Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, the more you come and you work out, then obviously the more fit you're going to be, whether that is a healthy fit or the really tiny skinny girls or guys. But the people who come every, say 3 months or so, once just for fun, they might stay for 10 minutes, and most of the time is spent, talking with their friends, and then once they're finished, they go get this really calorie-filled smoothie from Zia, and they think that it's good because they have it at the HRC. And then they've completely devoided what they've just done, which is kind of disappointing to see as a person in the fitness field, but at the same time, I have to applaud them for coming in. They came, they made the decision, they came, they got up and got away from their studying for a little bit, so you have to give everybody every bit of confidence that you can give them.
Why do you think it's so important to keep an active lifestyle or maybe even start an active lifestyle while you're in college? Why is it so different from maybe before college or after?
Well, whenever you're in high school, a lot of times you have your parents telling you stuff, okay, stop watching TV, go outside. And a lot of times when you go to college, you're living on your own. It's time for you to establish your own hobbies, your own way of living. And college definitely at least starts that, because we get the feeling of getting away from our parents, although we still have this structured way of living. And if we have this facility on campus, we're able to go to it, beginning that habit in college and then continuing it in the rest of your life. Once you establish a habit, you're more likely to keep it than if you're trying to get out there and start a real career and establish an apartment for yourself and do everything that it means to be an adult, as opposed to starting those healthy habits sooner. Because if you do that, then whenever you graduate, you're going to continue that activity.
Okay, definitely. How would you suggest a student who has never really worked out before consistently start working out at the HRC? Like, what should they do, first of all?
A lot of times I like to promote our personal trainers. And a lot of people don't know this, but we have a student rate, and students can get a personal trainer for $10 an hour.
Oh, wow.
You can't find that at any other gym anywhere. If you try to go to a public gym, you might pay upwards of $50, $75 for a personal trainer. And here, I mean, even though we're students, we are certified. We have ACE certifications, we have AFA certifications. So we do know what we're talking about. We're really invested in our field. And that way, it's a one-on-one with somebody who is going to focus on you. And you can buy say 5 or 6 sessions. You can come once a week. That's 6 weeks. They can teach you how to generally do something and then release you, and you can continue to do those workouts over and over again that they can give you to get your start. That's what I would advise for people. Other people, I mean, they may just want to come in and do some cardio. We have personal trainers staffed at our fitness desk, and they love whenever people come up and ask them questions.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, can you show me an arm exercise or a leg exercise? I have no idea what I'm doing. We love it, because a lot of times we don't get questions, and they just sit there cleaning or making workouts for their other clients.
Okay. So students really can go up and just ask right there instead
They
of
really
scheduling
can.
a session,
Yeah.
like just tiny little questions.
Yeah, they can ask small questions. They can ask for a tour of the HRC, maybe how to use this machine or how to use that machine. What's the best exercise for abs? What's the best exercise for legs? And they can show you. It's really great. They're staffed every day pretty much, so it's easy to come up and find them.
Okay.
And we wear bright orange shirts. You can't miss us.
What forms of exercise are most effective? Because I know I've talked to some people and they say elliptical's good, elliptical's bad, like don't do weights unless you want to get really bulky. Like, what's the truth? What should people looking to get fit start doing?
Honestly, any type of activity is good activity. Now, I say that, and you have to understand that there are safety issues with each of them, and you have to be aware going into a gym that you have to make sure that you're safe. And again, another way to do that is ask a personal trainer, what's the correct way to use this machine? And they'll be able to safely tell you how to perform that exercise. But any activity is good activity. If you don't like running, walk. If you don't like the elliptical, hop on the treadmill or hop on a bike. Take a group fitness class. A lot of people like our group fitness classes because we have those instructors have the energy. They get people in, they get them excited to work out, and then they don't even have to think about it. They just have to follow the instructor, and the instructor knows what they're talking about, so they're going to get a good, safe workout regardless.
Okay. How often should students be working out each week, and for how long, in order to really like jumpstart working out and becoming more healthy?
If you want to see a difference, typically 3 days a week, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, is the best recommendation. 30 minutes, you will get your heart rate up, and you can do a really intense workout for that long, but I wouldn't advise that for somebody just starting out. Because if you try to go too hard, too fast, you're going to exhaust yourself, and you're going to actually get worse benefits than good benefits.
Okay. And I know one of the biggest problems for myself, and I'm sure for a lot of other students, is continuing the pattern of going to the gym. What tips can you give like everyone out there for keeping healthy and actually keeping up with that pattern?
It roughly takes 2 weeks to establish a pattern. So if you can commit to starting that exercise program for 2 weeks, you're generally going to start feeling better. You're going to start feeling more energized. You're going to start feeling like you are improving your body. And if you can do that for 2 weeks, you're going to continue that program. It's a difficult 2 weeks because sometimes you're like, I do not want to go do this. This is not the first thing on my list. I want to lay in bed and watch TV. Sometimes I want to do that too, but I also know that once I get up and get moving, I'm going to feel a whole lot better. So if you can start that 2 weeks, if you can make that commitment and see in your mind, be like 2 weeks, all right, 2 weeks I'm going to feel better and I'm going to want to keep this up. That would be the best case scenario.
Okay. And I know another problem a lot of students may have is going to the gym and not being productive. Mm-hmm. You said there are different fitness classes that you could take that would help out with that. What are some of the different types?
Oh gosh, we have anything. We have Zumba. We just added an aquatics class. We have something that's similar to CrossFit, but it's not the CrossFit name because we can't legally do that, but it's called No Limits. It's on Wednesday nights at 7:30. It does cost $10, whereas our other classes are free, but you get an intense workout. The instructors that lead it will give you the workout to do for the rest of the week, and so you can continue on that program. We have cycling classes, which I teach. We have Pilates, we have yoga, we have core classes. Essentially anything to fit anyone's lifestyle or anything that someone might be interested in. Our schedule is posted on the HRC website, and we have all days of the week at multiple times. So any time that someone would want to go, one is available for sure.
Okay. And finishing up, can you give everyone some words of inspiration about how to become healthier and maybe how to keep up with working out?
Don't give up, because speaking from someone who, in high school I was probably almost 200 pounds, and I just didn't give up, and it was a goal of mine. I was like, I'm going to do this whether anybody thinks that I can or not. And a lot of people that I work with have come from that background. It's a field of commitment, it's a field of drive, it's a field of goal, and you just can't give that up, and once you achieve it, you'll never go back, I guarantee it.
Okay, so it really is a lifestyle change if you can commit to it.
Entirely. It's not something that you're going to do for 2 months and then you're going to be done. I heard a quote by someone that says, why do physically fit people come to the gym? You're done. No, you're not. It's something that you have to continue for the rest of your life in order to keep that physical fitness, keep that health. And like I said, if you start now, it's going to continue into adulthood. It's going to influence your children if that's what you choose to do. Everything that you do from that point on, it'll definitely just impact your life.
Thank you for joining us for this segment of the Butler Beat. Krista Miller will host our next segment, focusing on finances and the economy. I'm Savari Kohler.
Hi, and welcome back to the Butler Beat. I'm Krista Miller. It's something that's talked about continually in families across the country and during the presidential campaign: money and the economy and finances. But what concerns, if any, do Butler students have about finances? I talked to a few students to find out what those were.
Bethany Wysocki is a sophomore communications disorders major here at Butler, and she says she's worried about tuition.
I would say my biggest concerns financially are how I'm going to deal with rising tuition, especially in a private school like Butler, and then after I graduate, how I'm going to pay for graduate school.
Ryan Simpson is a senior studying integrated communications, preparing to graduate in May.
Well, I really need to make sure that I find a job pretty much as soon as I graduate so that I'm able to start paying off student loans and pretty much everything else I've accumulated.
Julia Porter is another senior here at Butler. She studies speech-language pathology, but doesn't have to worry about the job market for a few more years.
I'm not really concerned about finding a job necessarily because I do have to go to grad school and I feel like placement rates there are pretty good. But I am worried about what to do with my money once I earn it, how to invest it, maybe how to grow it in ways other than just earning it.
Joining me today is Butler University Professor of Finance Roberto Cursi. We're going to talk about some of those concerns and get some tips to current students and soon-to-be graduates. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure, Krista, to be here.
So like I said, money is something that it seems like is always on the news, and it's a big issue in this election. So is the national debt, our financial concerns, are they something that current students need to be concerned about?
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure, because the finances of the country are extremely important for stability to be present in the marketplace and for the economy to prosper at a good pace, and that is important for all of us.
Okay. Now, what kinds of steps would you recommend college students take to prevent themselves from getting into debt?
That's important. I would say that something to keep in mind is that we have to live within our means, and that may imply for the students to clearly understand the resources that they count with and allocate those into different categories of spending and perhaps also savings so that they can have a balanced budget themselves.
Okay. Now, what are some mistakes that you see college students making concerning their money, if any?
I guess that the most appearing one, or the one that traditionally happened to many people, is the idea of overspending. And students can do that when they have credit cards. So it's easy and convenient to buy goods and services that we want to have, even if we don't have money, by using a credit card. But the use of a credit card means that at some point you have to pay that money back, and that is a challenge that many people have.
Sure. Now, what would you suggest for a college student using a credit card? Would you suggest a college student even having a credit card or using something like a debit card instead?
I guess it is convenient to have a credit card because you can use it just as a debit card, but in addition to that, you're building a record of creditworthiness, which is important in the long term for anybody to have a credit record well established so that you can get access to capital as needed throughout your life. But I would say what is important in the short term for college level students is to go back to the idea of having a budget and trying to use the credit card for expenses that they can afford to pay at the end of the month, so they don't have to pay interest on that in those expenses, and at the same time they accumulate a credit record.
Okay. Now, for somebody who doesn't know, what kinds of things will we need our credit record for in order to buy?
That's very important, very important. So normally you can think about major assets. In the short term, if the student doesn't have a car and is willing to buy his or her own car as they start to work in the labor force, and you go to request a credit from a credit agency or a bank, a financial institution, the first thing that they're going to do to check your availability for credit is your credit worthiness, and that's the point in which you will be needing. If you're planning to buy, a home later on as you get established independently of your family, or as you married, then you will need to have a credit record to be able to establish a loan or mortgage transaction with a bank. So those are kind of primary short-term needs, but depending upon what you end up doing, for instance, if you decide to create your own business, as an example, it may be possible that you have to go to a bank to get some funding for you to establish an organization, a business to operate independently. In that case, again, you're going to be asked to provide credit records, and that's the benefit of it.
Okay. Now, if a student does get into trouble while they're in college and their credit record is bad, what can they do to improve their credit record?
That's an excellent point as well. I would say that on the first time, trying to avoid getting there. That's kind of a primary concern for everybody. Avoid having those challenges. But once you have them, then the only thing that you can do is basically go back to the basis of trying to match your income and expenses in a way that you can pay your bills on time. And then through time, the credit record will improve. But it takes time. Once you damage the record, it would take a couple years to fix it so that the institutions that are considering you for a lending transaction see that something happens to you, but you have been able to improve since then.
Okay. Now, if a student has like a part-time job, how much of their paycheck do you think they should be putting into savings?
Okay, so I would say it's all relative, isn't it? There's not an absolute, but on a relative time basis, ideally you might want to save, somewhere between 10 to 15% of your pay salary, no matter what it is. And the goal of savings can be perceived twofold. On one hand, to accumulate some wealth that can allow you to buy or make an investment that is a significant amount. So it's kind of a short-term horizon. But at the same time, part of it could be invested on a more longer term so that you can accomplish or make investments that are more substantial. But having said that, it is always important to make sure that the income that you generate in any job allows you to pay the expenses that you need to incur in to have a good life today. And by a good life, I don't mean just have a lot of fun, but rather cover the basis that you need to be able to take care of yourself.
Okay. Now, when college students are saving that money, where should they be saving it? Should they be investing it into something, or just having, just a savings account at a bank?
That's an excellent point as well. I would say that each of us will have what we normally call a risk profile portfolio. A risk profile
portfolio.
Yeah, basically, sure. you know how comfortable you feel or not assuming risk. So there is a universe of potential investments that one can make. Some of them are not risky at all, such as, let us say, an instrument on a security issued by the U.S. federal government. We normally call them risk-free investments, but we can also have saving accounts that are relatively less risky. A little bit more risky than those, but not as risky as other assets in the financial market. So the bottom line, I would say, is you got to understand how much risk can you assume, and then go from there. But there is many possibilities on investments that somebody can do.
Okay. Now let's talk about post-graduation. How much money do you think that recent graduates should be saving from their paychecks? Or like you said, is it kind of about the same in any sort of situation?
I would say yes. You can generalize and say that if you can afford to make some savings, 10 to 15% could be a good target.
Okay. Now, where should recent college graduates kind of be thinking the same way that current students, which is just the risk, where they're going to be saving their money, kind of the same thing as current students, just.
Yeah, the major difference would be that, as you go into the labor force, hopefully you're going to be making more money than you do while you are in school. And as such, then you might have more flexibility to really allocate more of your income to savings.
Okay. Now, who do people go to for help with their finances or for help with managing their money?
Yeah, that's a very important question as well. I would say there are the so-called concept of financial analysts are individuals that are part of normally financial institutions that will help you analyze your finances and make decisions regarding how to allocate resources and the like. So if you go to major financial institutions, they will provide services along those lines. Now you have a lot of wealth and money to be managed, then there are more sophisticated approaches that you can follow to get advice on how to make right investments. But in general, financial analysts are the professionals that will help you manage your money.
Okay. Are there any online or free services that current students could use if they can't afford to go to a financial analyst?
I would say that all the financial analysts will have websites. And then within those websites, you can really get a lot of free advice on how to manage your finances and then how to project the value of your investments under certain circumstances. So I would say if you just Google for financial analysts and financial institutions that provide financial analyst services, investment advisors as well, they will have a lot of information that will be very helpful in terms of investments in general.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Are there any other tips that you can give to current students on how to save their money or manage their money?
I would say we have covered a lot, but in general, I would like to re-emphasize the idea of perhaps building a monthly budget in an Excel spreadsheet that can capture, where is the money coming from, for you, and where is the money going to. And that's a very important tool, not only for you to plan in general what you envision doing, but also to keep track of what you have actually done. So you can kind of model expectations and then the actual practice so that you know exactly where is the money coming from and where is the money going to. So if you were to do that, you have a tendency to be more careful in your finances and more successful in managing the money.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for
You're
coming
welcome.
on the
You're
show
welcome.
today. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
My pleasure.
And thank you for watching this segment of the Butler Beat. I'm Krista Miller.